The Legend of the Christmas Truce. Once upon a time, long ago, there was a big war in Europe. The war was so big that it was called the Great War. Soldiers from different countries fought each other every day. It was a very sad time because many people were hurt and families were far apart. One cold winter, just before Christmas, the soldiers were living in trenches. Trenches are deep holes in the ground where soldiers can hide and stay safe. It was snowy and very cold, and the soldiers were tired and missed their families. The trenches were muddy and wet, and the soldiers wore heavy coats and boots to keep warm. They ate simple food like bread and soup, and they wrote letters to their families, hoping to get home soon. On Christmas Eve, something magical happened. As night fell, the soldiers on both sides started to hear something surprising. It wasn't the usual sounds of war, but something sweet and peaceful. The soldiers heard singing. It was a Christmas carol. The song traveled through the cold air from one side of the battlefield to the other. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, the soldiers sang. They sang in different languages, but the song was the same. The soldiers peeked out from their trenches, feeling curious and hopeful. Slowly, very slowly, they began to climb out of their hiding places. They stood up in the snowy field, and instead of fighting, they started to walk towards each other. They met in the middle of the battlefield, with the snow crunching under their boots. The night was so quiet that they could hear the snowflakes falling gently to the ground. At first, they were unsure. They didn't speak the same language, and they had been fighting for so long. But then, one brave soldier held up a small Christmas tree with candles glowing softly. Another soldier from the other side saw it and smiled. He reached into his pocket and pulled out some chocolate. They began to share what little they had. Chocolate, bread, even small gifts they had made or found. The soldiers shook hands and smiled. They laughed and talked with their hands and faces, trying to understand each other. Some soldiers even played games together. They played soccer with an old tin can, kicking it back and forth across the snowy field. It was a very special time. For that night and the next day, they were not enemies. They were just people, celebrating Christmas together. As the sun rose on Christmas morning, the soldiers continued to enjoy their truce. They shared stories about their homes and families. One soldier showed a picture of his wife and baby, and another shared a letter from his mother. They found that they had more in common than they had ever imagined. They all missed their families, they all loved Christmas, and they all wanted peace. The soldiers sang more songs together. They sang "O Christmas Tree," "Deck the Halls," and "Joy to the World." Their voices filled the cold air with warmth and joy. Some soldiers even played musical instruments they had brought with them. There were harmonicas, violins, and even a small accordion. The music made them feel closer to home. They cooked a special meal together. They didn't have much, but they made the best of what they had. They shared sausages, biscuits, and even a little bit of wine. They toasted to peace and hoped that the war would end soon. They laughed and talked, forgetting about the war for a little while. They even helped each other bury their fallen friends, showing respect for those who had been lost. They worked side by side, saying prayers in their own languages. It was a sad but beautiful moment as they honored the memory of their comrades. As the day went on, they continued to play games and share stories. They learned about each other's traditions and customs. One soldier taught his new friend how to make a paper snowflake, while another showed how to carve a small wooden toy. They exchanged gifts, such as buttons, badges, and little trinkets they had made. The soldiers knew that the truce couldn't last forever. They knew that soon they would have to go back to their trenches and the fighting would start again. But for that short time, they were at peace. They felt the true spirit of Christmas, which is about love, kindness, and hope. When Christmas Day ended, the soldiers returned to their trenches. They waved goodbye and wished each other well. They knew that the next day would bring more battles, but they would always remember the special Christmas they shared. They had learned that even in the darkest times, there could be moments of light and peace. They had learned that people are not so different after all, no matter where they come from. As the war went on, the memory of that magical Christmas stayed with the soldiers. They carried the hope of peace in their hearts. They knew that if they could find a way to come together for one day, maybe someday the world could find a way to live in peace every day. The story of the Christmas truce spread far and wide. People all over the world heard about the soldiers who had put down their weapons and shared a special day together. It became a symbol of hope and a reminder that even in the hardest times, we can find ways to be kind and loving to one another. The soldiers who lived through that day never forgot the lesson they learned. They knew that peace and kindness were stronger than any war. They carried that lesson with them for the rest of their lives, sharing it with their children and grandchildren. And so, every year at Christmas, people remember the Christmas truce. They remember the soldiers who sang together, shared gifts, and played games in the snow. They remember that even in the darkest times, there can be moments of light and peace. And they try to carry the spirit of that special day with them, spreading love and kindness wherever they go. Moral of the story: we learn that even in times of trouble, we can find moments of peace and kindness. The soldiers showed us that love and hope can shine bright, even in the darkest times. We should always try to be kind to others, no matter who they are. By sharing and caring, we can make the world a better place.